My name is Michelle. I'm an application engineer at Saratech, and today I'm going to be talking about what's new in Teamcenter 2412. To start off with, we'll get into a brief overview of Teamcenter, what it is, what it can do for you, and then we'll start talking about those updates, starting with updates to Teamcenter 2412 installation and deployment, and then we'll get into some key changes to its user interface, how you're going to be using Active Workspace in Teamcenter. And then we'll get into search capabilities, workflows, BOM management, reporting and customization, and finally we'll hit some other notable features. So for anyone who isn't familiar with Teamcenter, Teamcenter is Siemens PLM software. It's product lifecycle management software, and it supports your full product lifecycle from concept and design to manufacturing, operation, and eventual disposal. At its core, Teamcenter is all about data management. It organizes and visualizes your product information, so your CAD files, PDFs, and documentation. And it also integrates with a wide variety of systems like your CAD softwares, any ERP systems, MES, so on and so forth. Beyond data management, it offers a bunch of features and tools to facilitate the growth of your product. So for example, it allows for automated workflows, BOM management, change management. You can add more modules like requirements, tracking, so on and so forth. And for today's updates, we're focusing more on the core capabilities of Teamcenter, so not so much any of those add-on modules like change management and requirements tracking. So let's start with what's new in Teamcenter 2412, beginning with Deployment Center updates. Deployment Center is the main tool for installing and deploying Teamcenter. With 2412, it's gaining some new features to help phase out the Teamcenter Environment Manager, or TEM, which is the precursor to Deployment Center. And that's really important because TEM has been stated to be removed entirely in Teamcenter 2506. So the biggest new feature with Deployment Center is it can now uninstall components. So in the Components tab you see here, you'll see which components are eligible for uninstallation. And when you uncheck it, it pops up this new component uninstall panel where it shows you any dependencies that might block the uninstallation. So you get full visibility there. And if there are no issues, you can then safely generate a deployment script to remove that component. Teamcenter administration data can now also be included with your BMID template projects with all of your other data model updates. This makes packaging and deploying with Deployment Center much easier. So your administration data would include things like your preferences, any access rules, custom queries, workflows, style sheets, stuff like that. And those could all then be packaged through the BMIDE with the rest of your data model updates or through a new command line utility. And if you decide to package and deploy them with your BMID updates, you can actually deploy your administration data and your data model updates separately, so you don't need the same system downtime. Deployment Center also adds new maintenance flexibility, so you can now update the certificate, server ports, repository paths more easily with Deployment Center. And then JRE settings are easier to migrate as well. So when you update your Java on the server, the deployment script can then handle applying those new JRE settings throughout your Teamcenter environment automatically. So there's no more having to manually find those configuration files and editing them. It just automatically is applied. So now let's take a look at some key usability improvements in Active Workspace. So one major update is the new tree view for navigating relationships within summary tables. This is a lot like what people are familiar with in the Rich Client, so it's useful when you are transitioning from the Rich Client to Active Workspace. So users can now choose a tree option in the tables to expand, so you can see that right here. Let me grab a laser pointer there. So you see there's a tree option here. Once you click that, it enables all of these drop downs to expand the objects and view the related items directly or grouped in folders by the relation type. It's going to use the same relation definitions already configured in Rich Client, so everything carries over seamlessly. And this offers a faster, more intuitive way to explore related data without needing to switch your different pages. And it's even more powerful when paired with the information panel, as you see in the picture here, and it keeps all of that information at your fingertips. Another update to Active Workspace is its better use of screen space. So the section header and toolbars have been combined into one line. So this reduces any white space and eliminates clutter. Any of those tool commands stay visible on the header even if your command labels are turned off. And to keep the interface clean, when a section is collapsed, its commands are also hidden. So this avoids showing tools that aren't currently relevant to you and overall updates the display density. So you can see more data in the same amount of space without any unnecessary scrolling. The Layout Manager was actually introduced in Teamcenter 2406, but now it extends to your search-based pages, so like your search results, your inbox, and more. And this gives your users more flexibility to switch between different view layouts quickly and easily. So for example, when you search for things here, you might want a single view layout with the table. So that shows you a whole list of all of your search results with some relevant properties exposed immediately. Or you can have a split layout with the search results on the left-hand side, and on the right-hand side is a very detailed summary page as we're typically used to. And just like on all other pages, you can save and recall your preferred layout combinations. It's all about giving your users more control over how they work and making navigation faster and more efficient. Right. And with Teamcenter 2412, there have been some really nice improvements to help you work more efficiently in Active Workspace. And this is one of the biggest and my favorite changes, is it's now a lot easier to get to the commands you use the most. So that could be copying or pasting certain objects, checking in, checking out, revising, things like that. So now you could see a lot of those actions up in the details header of an object. So that's when you're on your summary page. And on the top right corner, if you hit that more button, you can see copy and add to favorites. And also immediately exposed is your check-in, checkout, and cancel checkout button. So you don't have to click on anything else. We used to have to navigate through a bunch of different menus before we got to this option, but it's immediately displayed there. In addition, in 2406, they started making commands available by right-clicking on your objects. So now that checkout, check-in, and cancel checkout have been added in as well. There was also the addition of keyboard shortcuts for frequently used commands. This is another enhancement in 2412. So the shortcuts can be found in multiple locations. First, when you hover over a specific command, you'll see the shortcut displayed, then a tooltip. So for example, you're on your home page, and on the left-hand side, you've got a bunch of commands like going to your inbox. If you hover over that inbox, you get a tooltip that shows you the name of what you're going to, and then the command shortcut. So in this case, it would be Alt and R. And if you want to see all the available shortcuts, you can go to the settings menu and use the keyboard shortcuts option, and it'll give you a full list of all the shortcuts that are configured for your Teamcenter environment. And speaking of it being configurable, your system administrator can add more shortcuts as necessary for your organization. So they can be completely tailored to you and your business needs. You can also now create and manage projects directly from the Explorer, which used to be called the Inbox if you're not familiar with it. But now you can create and manage projects directly from that Explorer in Active Workspace. This capability is available to all users, not just administrators, making it much easier to kick off collaboration with your team. And to make it available for all users, your administrators can have them bypass what used to be a lockdown by the authorization rules. And then as a project owner, you can manage your project team and assign content all from the Explorer interface. So you can also assign folders to a project and choose whether you want to assign just the folder itself or the folder and its content. Here's an example picture of doing that. So of assigning members within your Explorer UI. So if you click on one of those project folders there, you have the ability to do the overview and look over all the project data. And then you also have a members tab where you can add your team members and then assign them the correct project level privileges and ensure that each person has the right level of access and responsibility within the project. When your team is in place, the roles are assigned, you can then move over back to the Overview tab to continue working with projects data and managing deliverables. In Teamcenter 2412, it's now easier to manage participants in discussions, so you can quickly find and add users by filtering based off of their group and role. So you're not scrolling through the entirety of your organization, you can just quickly get to the person you need. There's also a new preference that can automatically include the owner of the source object you're doing discussion on. So that ensures the right people, like the part document owners or part owners, are looped in straight from the start. Another helpful addition, discussions can now be made private by default, so they only reach the intended participants. And to reduce inbox overload, you can throttle email notifications if they're enabled for discussions. So that helps cut down on spam while still keeping everybody informed. Teamcenter 2412 has also added improved search capabilities across two key areas, artificial intelligence and query construction. So first we have AI-powered search. So Teamcenter's search experience has been enhanced with some large language modules that understand and process natural language. That means your users can now type in their queries just like they'd ask a normal person, and the system will interpret the intent and give relevant results. So there's no more needing to remember specific keywords or complex syntax. And you can see an example of that in the middle column there. This is what we used to do to search for all items, revisions modified within a specific date, owned by a specific user, and with a specific release status. And on the right-hand side is what it would look like now, where you just say, my release item revisions modified from January to September this year, and Teamcenter will give you those appropriate results. That being said, this function does require some configuration by an administrator, so you don't have that straight out of the box. Next, we have the Query Builder tool in Active Workspace. This tool allows both system administrators and regular users to create and manage custom queries. The Query Builder used to only be in the Rich Client. That was a Rich Client only functionality, but now it's been moved to Active Workspace with a nice and cleaner UI. It's a lot more intuitive and user-friendly now. So users can now create new queries from scratch, save existing queries and modify them, which makes building new ones much faster. And they can export and import queries all within this interface as well. For workflow management, you can now add, remove, or replace approvers even while the workflow is still in progress. This is a really big improvement, especially for teams dealing with staffing changes or role transitions. You no longer need to cancel and abort that workflow and then restart it or reach out to an administrator to continue doing all of these tasks. You can just simply replace or remove a specific approver. All right. So changes can be made at any point during the review, whether it's before the approval has happened or even after some are already complete. So you can also select multiple approvers at once and take action on all of them together. That being said, there are a few important rules and safeguards in place to keep workflows consistent and error-free. So for example, if an approver is marked as a required sign-off or assigned based on a specific profile, they can't just be removed, they can only be replaced. And if an approver has already completed their task, you can't remove or replace them at all. In those cases, the commands will be completely grayed out, whether you're using the buttons at the top right of the table. As you can see, there's a remove and a replace command there. You can see remove is already grayed out, so you can't remove that user. Same thing if you're using the right-click context menu. You can see that remove has been grayed out there as well. Another condition to be aware of is a review task has a numeric quorum set. Let's say 3 out of 5 approvals are required. You won't be able to remove an approver if it would mean that the quorum will not be able to be met. And the system will handle this by disabling any relevant options so you don't accidentally break that workflow. And then one of the biggest improvements to working with BOM structures in Active Workspace is in the compare functionality. So you can now compare the content of two structures and save those results as a report. That report is saved in an Excel format, making it really easy to review, share, or archive. And if you have write access to your structure, that report is automatically attached to one of those structures. And if you don't, Teamcenter will just place it in your new stuff folder. In Teamcenter Active Workspace, users can modify and view the details of a revision rule. With 2412, your admins can now save those modifications as a completely new revision rule. So once saved, that new rule becomes available for all your users, and they can follow through with whatever you've set in your organization. In Teamcenter Reports, you now have the ability to create multiple dashboards and share them with groups, users, or project teams. So new dashboards create a tab. They can have their own set of reports, and we can see that here we've got a new dashboard called Project X Dashboard, and it's got the changes, my deliverables, and all workflows reports that I've added. I can then share this Project X dashboard to whoever I need to. And your administrators can control which groups and roles have the ability to create these personalized dashboards. In addition, if I go into one of those reports, like the changes reports, I have the ability to edit those inline properties right there based off of my access rights, and it gives me flexibility in how I view my data and how I update everything here. Another useful feature is I am able to export that table right there directly to Excel and work with that data externally. One of the biggest changes that I personally like is now you are able to customize your homepage tiles from Active Workspace. This is one of the biggest problems with Teamcenter is when people accidentally unpin their homepage tile. So this is a really simple problem. It should have a really simple fix, and we finally get that in Teamcenter 2412. So you can efficiently manage your homepage tiles through this advanced search page. And you can manage homepage tiles either for the entire site, specific workspaces, groups and roles, or even individual users. So here I have an advanced search for a tile collection of a specific user, so I can see exactly what's happening on their homepage, and I can choose to look for a hidden column if a tile is unpinned. If that says true, that tile is unpinned, and I can toggle it back to false to restore that tile. I can also protect tiles from being unpinned. For example, the Explorer tile is already protected by default. I can change which group a tile belongs to, adjust the order of the tiles, resize the tiles, all from this layout here. And those defaults are going to apply the first time a user logs in. And one other functionality is I can create new tiles directly from this space here. In Teamcenter 2412, table management has been made much more efficient with the introduction of the table configurator. So tables are a core part of the Teamcenter experience. They're used everywhere to display and organize data. So having an easy way to configure them is super, super important. So previously, configuring table columns meant working with some XML files. You'd need to be inside the Teamcenter server environment and run scripts in order to do that. But now with the table configurator, your administrators can handle everything directly from Active Workspace. So that means there's no need to have access to the Teamcenter server, no need to use command line utilities, and it's just a faster deployment overall. And now we're on to a couple of notable features. So if anyone is using Microsoft Teams, the Teams integration was added in 2312, and it's still being improved in 2412. So you can now create simple change objects right from the Teams interface. Your Teamcenter administrators can set up multiple types of problem reports and change types. And then from the app, you can toggle between those types depending on what's relevant for the situation. Workflow tasks are also now supported, so you can do conditional tasks, do tasks, perform sign-offs, review tasks, all from this interface here. With document management, you can now create and manage your own symbols using the new symbol editor, embedded SVG editor. And that lets you create shapes, add text or notations, group symbols in a way that makes sense to you. And then once created, you can reuse those symbols in both formal and informal markup. There's also a new revision cloud shape that has been added, and it's perfect for highlighting changes on drawings during review cycles. And now this is for Teamcenter X only. The homepage has been updated for designer users, and it's more functional, responsive, and user-friendly. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because it's very likely that this update to the homepage is going to come together in the near future with either Teamcenter 2506 or 2512. So the homepage includes 4 key components: recently accessed objects, your favorites, active discussions, and your tasks. Each of these components are responsive and adjust based off of your screen size. So whether you're on a full desktop monitor, your laptop, or your phone, those sizes will automatically adjust. You can also expand any of these components to full screen. You can jump into the full application. So for example, if you jump into the task tile, you'd be going into your inbox or Explorer. You can switch views for supported components between the list view, image view, or use the auto mode, which chooses the best layout based off of the available space as well. And then finally, with Teamcenter X, they've also added interactive guides that are available right from the help menu. So this is really helpful for new or returning users who aren't familiar with Teamcenter. They can automatically just get started, understand how to use Teamcenter with these help guides, and you don't need to go through a scheduled training session. And these guides are specific to your group or role. So whether you're a designer or you're a self-administrator, then you can still have relevant guides to understand how to use Teamcenter for your specific role. So that's it for my presentation. Andy, are there any questions here?
Thank you so much for joining us today, and looking forward to seeing everyone in a future session. Thank you.